Hello, welcome to the third Gen AI video. Today we're going to be talking about the three kind of main types of machine learning and just doing a quick overview of them. And you might be able to see some similarities to how you've seen this before, and hopefully it'll be an educational video. Okay, so the three main types we have supervised, unsupervised, and then reinforcement. And then I kind of have it organized. You can see at the top we have clear, which is kind of very cut and dry the way supervised worked. Unsupervised, it's a little more abstract the way you're going to see it work. Um, since it's almost like, wow, it can feel like magic almost at times. And then reinforcement learning is going to be very much so dynamic and changing on kind of what problem you're solving or however you're trying to reinforce the model. So we'll start with supervised learning really quickly. This is going to be giving very specific labeled data to make predictions. So if you look in this left column here, you can see that we have an email. So maybe you give it a spam email, and then you have house features. Maybe you say, this is labeled $300,000. And then an image, say this image is labeled cat. So if you give a thing with a bunch of labels, like a house features, for example, and you say $300,000, made in 1800s, brick, um, whatever sort of demographics you want, maybe like suburbia. Then, as you get all of your labeled data together, it can work through however you've had it set up to find patterns within it, find relationships, and then it can learn from its errors too. So you can start to see patterns of like, hey, I start to see a lot of things. A lot of these brick houses look like they're made in 1850 to 1910, or hey, it looks like a lot of these pictures that have lots of gray in them are cats, maybe if there was a tag for gray. So what's important to realize here is that all of these predictions and insights it's having are purely from the labels that you have given whatever data that you're putting into the system. So it's never going to be able to take a spam email and say, the grammar on this is off. I don't think this is very good, since you can't really put grammar in a label unless you maybe did grammar level 10, grammar level 9 based on like how good it was, right? And once kind of everything's done, you can start getting predictions, right? So if you ask about something that related to your labels, like price, we can see that was one of our labels. We can say, hey, what do you think the price is going to be of this? And it'll say, it looks like this kind of has similar things to the brick label I've found. It looks like this is kind of similar to things with the square footage label I found based on its size. So maybe its price is going to be this. So you can put a completely new thing in that wasn't part of your original labeled data set, and it's going to start be able to kind of making those predictions from it. So we'll move on to unsupervised learning here. And this is going to be kind of similar, except you've dropped the labels, right? This makes obviously easier to kind of get some data, since you don't need to have every piece of data have all those labels that you need, which can be kind of tedious. But at the same time, it means you're going to need a little bit more data, since the AI itself is going to be going through and it's making up those categories and making up those labels for itself, essentially. So let's say you are doing it for a company, right? And you kind of give it profiles of all of your customers that you're buying. Maybe you're getting this data from the credit card company or whoever. So it might start trying to group people into things. It might say, okay, we can see these frequent buyers have high spending, and we can see group B has price sensitive people that really like discounts. Group C might have new users with low engagement, and then group D might have a lot of loyal subscribers with some high engagement. So it kind of starts to find these different categories by itself, but you need a lot of data to do that, so it can pick out the similarities um, between these pieces of data over time, which that's kind of the important thing about the unsupervised. The model receives the raw customer data or behavior data without labels. It groups them into groups based on similarity, and then it kind of just has that structured discovery. So lastly, we're going to look at how reinforcement learning works. This is probably something that you've seen before, kind of interesting. And you start with an agent that takes action, right? You can look up videos of this being done a lot of times where you'll have like some sort of um, like tic-tac-toe game. I've said that before. A lot of times it's like with games. And the agent will do something based on its current environment. And it'll go and knowing completely nothing over under its moves. So it'll be like random, right? However, as it'll work from random into being something um, more thought out as the environment gives it feedback. So maybe it realizes, hey, I shouldn't go forward here. Every time I do this, I get the negative response. And then it realizes, hey, every time I do this, I get the positive response from the system. So it starts to learn what's good and what's bad over time. And the agent over time will update its strategy to kind of maximize that reward and improve its long term performance. So even if it fails 100,000 times in the short run, it's starting to realize, hey, I'm not going to do that in the future. I'm going to do this. So tic tac toe, it starts to realize, hey, when it has two in a row going down the line, I should play in the bottom left corner, right? And that's kind of how that reinforcement learning works. It takes some time, but it's like you can see the progress as it becomes better in a game. And that's something that's super fun. If you guys want to ever go on YouTube and look at like reinforcement learning example, you'll find examples from all bunch of companies saying, I did it with this, I did it with this, and it's just super cool. So that was kind of a quick overview of the three main types. You can learn about these all individually, look up examples for them, and kind of see the nitty gritty and see real examples of the data working. Supervised learning learns from labeled data to make predictions. Unsupervised, it's going to be about finding structure and raw data without guidance. And then reinforcement learning is going to improve decisions over time by maximizing rewards from each individual iteration that the AI agent makes. So thank you for